And I'm an RN at St. Luke's Hospital. I want to talk to you, my community, about the staffing crisis that is happening inside that hospital and inside hospitals across the state. Many of you already know what that looks like as a patient. It means 10-hour wait times in the emergency department. It means closed doors on a dark pediatrics unit when your child is sick. It means you hit that call light and no one comes. It means bed sores. It contributes to infections, wound ruptures, and falls. This is unacceptable for our community. This crisis of short staffing did not happen by accident. For years, long before the pandemic, hospital executives have made the choice to cut staffing to the bone, forcing thousands of RNs from the bedside. St. Luke's management claims they are trying to hire more nurses, but they seem indifferent when it comes to retaining the skilled, experienced RNs that we already have at the bedside. Nurses are fleeing the hospital because management refuses to take the low-cost and no-cost steps that it would take to keep nurses at the bedside caring for our community. CEOs collect their $1 million paychecks while my coworkers are flipping from day shift to night shift to day shift, all in the span of 1 week. Can you imagine working a 12-hour night shift and then coming back for a 12-hour day shift with 1 day off in between? Do you think that nurse is going to be rested and ready to take good care of your family? Even suits sitting behind desks to know the answers to that question. This kind of unsafe scheduling is happening every single day inside that hospital. It is literally taking years off our lives. What hospital executives don't seem to understand that at the end of the day, healthcare is about people taking care of people. We want to be rested and ready to take care of you, of your children, of your parents. We demand that management return to the bargaining table and end their abusive staffing practices so we can give the care that our community deserves. Thank you very much. Up next is Larissa Hubbard, one of our union chairs and an amazing ICU nurse. Thanks, Emily.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Larissa Hubbard. I'm an RN in the ICU at St. Luke's Hospital. I'm also the M&A co-chair for our nurses. So a lot of people want to know why we're out here and what we're fighting for. When we say we want safe staffing, it means we want to be able to answer questions. We want to be able to get payments for our patients so they don't suffer. We want to be able to help people to get past them so they don't suffer themselves. We want them to be able to maintain their dignity. We want to be able to have a lunch break or even a bathroom break. We want to be there for our patients when they need us, but we want to be able to have the compassionate understanding and give them the attention that they deserve. Instead of half listening while we're thinking of the hundreds of other things we need to do, like call the doctors, the meds we need to give, the patient down the hall who wants to leave, the family waiting for an update, the CNA stuck in a one-to-one that needs a break, the confused patient crawling out of bed that we have to get to before they fall, patients that have to be turned and repositioned at least every 2 hours so they don't get pressure sores, the patient in a mental health crisis who needs someone to listen to them, the mom in labor whose baby is in distress, the patient having chest pain, the patient having a stroke, the rapid response 2 floors away, the ambulance that just rolled into the garage, the nurse who's being threatened or assaulted by a patient. These are the things that nurses do. We do it without thinking. We can't focus on the patient in front of us when we are responsible for 6 other patients. Don't our patients deserve better than that? We know that they do. When we can't do that, it causes distress for us. These little things add up. We hold ourselves up to the highest standards of our profession. And when we can't do our jobs, the accumulated traumas build up. All the times we see patients fall, pass away, struggle, we take that in. We take it to heart. The more we work short, the more this happens. After time, people just can't do this anymore. And so they leave. Prior to the pandemic, we were short. We could barely cover if somebody called in or if somebody went out on leave. As more nurses have left, we don't have enough to cover our shifts on a regular day. When people call in and have a baby, or even extra shifts, the nurse who's sick then feels guilty for not being there. The nurses that work extra shifts work doubles. It is possible to work 112 hours in 7 days. And I know this because I've done it. And I am not alone in this. How is is that sustainable? It's not. We are asked to pick up more shifts, stay late. We are given a $2 coupon in appreciation for all of the overtime. We are accused of lying about our working conditions. We lose nurses in other facilities for more money, better retirement, tuition reimbursements. We lose people due to the sheer exhaustion of levels and shifts on our days off. We lose people because we feel guilty for leaving our coworkers short and feeling like we can never do enough. We lose people from the sheer disrespect we experience. We have fantastic ideas and suggestions to help and create new plans, and they are not taken seriously. We are not out here for a headline. I don't want to change the world. I just want to make my own world a little bit better. I want to do better for my community, my coworkers, and all of them at St. Luke's, our patients, and our nurses. We need a fair contract. We need to be competitive, or we're going to lose more. We need a say in staffing. We keep hearing that our proposals are unworkable because they give some power to the nurses. They say, we have a duty to staff the hospital. Well, they have failed to staff the hospital. That's why we're out here. We aren't the ones who walked away from the table. We aren't the ones who didn't take negotiations seriously until last week. We are the ones who pointed fingers and faces on the other side. We are ready to stay all night. We were ready to stay all night. We wanted to avoid all this. But we are not going to our patients or our nurses. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Tara.
Hi, I'm Tara Anderson. I'm a registered nurse at Duluth. I work on the health and I've been a nurse for 2 years now. And the safe staffing and nursing retention is one of the major reasons why we're out here, as our employers are currently saying that we're not telling them what we need to have nursing retention and safe staffing and meet on this contract. But we're asking for that time, all of our vacation time. And as a 2-year RN, I haven't saved up that much. It's an inadequate expectation and unrealistic for us. We're requesting 4 weeks paid family leave, and this would be for a newborn child, this would be for a sick immediate family member. And this would help us take care of ourselves, our families, so that we can take care of yours. The employers are asking what we need for retention, for safe staffing, and agreement for the contract. We're telling them what we need, and they aren't listening. Thank you.
All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Alan Edlin. I'm president of the Northeast Area Labor Council. We represent over 40,000 union members here in the Central County Arrowhead region. And we're here in support of the nurses until they get the fair contract. You know, Duluth has been, it is, and it will be a union town. Despite the tactics used by St. Louis and Essentia to disrespect the nurses here, we're going to be here every day. And then when they go back in for a while and come back out without a settled contract, we'll be back with them again. Because this is where we do it. It's called solidarity. We're not going to abandon the nurses like their employer has. You can't go through a pandemic and do the kind of work they've done and not expect a little bit of respect. Unacceptable. We're going to make a noise here today. We're going to continue to make a noise. The nurses deserve a fair contract, and until we get it, we'll be here the whole time. Now we have Senator Jen McEwen.
Thanks very much. I'm State Senator Jen McEwen. I represent Duluth in the Minnesota State Senate, and I'm out here today in strong support of the nurses out here striking in front of our hospitals in Duluth. As Al Matlin said, Duluth is a union town. We are proud of that heritage. We are proud of bringing that heritage forward. And I think the biggest thing that I am hearing from people throughout our city is how thankful they are for these nurses who are standing up for us. Look at what they have done. They have taken 3 days to strike for us, for staffing levels in our hospitals that will protect our health and safety. So they're standing strong, not just for one another and for their working conditions, safe working conditions, humane working conditions, and fair pay, but they're also standing strong for our community. And that is how solidarity works. They take care of us, and we are going to stand strong for them. So I call on the hospital executives from St. Mary's and Essentia in St. Luke's to get back to the bargaining table and treat our nurses, our neighbors, our family, our friends here in this community fairly. And one thing that is really important that I want to make sure that they know is that we are all watching. We are all watching how they handle this situation, and we are angry that it had to come to this. We know where the responsibility for this lies with them. That the nurses of our community would find it necessary that they had to walk out and protect us and miss out on pay. Miss out on pay, a nurse missing out on pay for 3 days. Imagine the determination that it takes for that to happen. So I want the hospital executives to know that we are watching. We are watching how you handle this going forward. We expect absolutely no retaliatory action toward any of the nurses here in our city or any of the nurses statewide on the line today, and who are standing strong for one another and for our communities, for patient safety. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Representative Jen Schultz. Thank you, Senator Ewan. So again, my name is Jen Schultz. I'm currently running for Congress in the 8th District, and I'm here to support our nurses. Nurses have gotten us through a pandemic. They've worked overtime. They are short-staffed. They've had staffing ratio issues for a long time across the country. What we need to do is really evaluate where our priorities lie, because we need to make sure that at the bedside we are supported. And it's a signal to me that over 15,000 nurses are striking today. That tells me that something is seriously wrong, because I know these nurses care. They care about their patients, they care about making sure people get better, and they would never strike unless it was serious. So we need to get to work. I encourage upper management to spend a day or a week with nurses in the units to understand what they're struggling with and to come back to the bargaining table and negotiate in good faith. I know as a health economist, we spend almost $4 trillion in this country every year. Where is that money going? The CEOs get paid 40 times what nurses are getting paid. That is a problem that needs to be investigated. I know, last time I checked, health insurance companies, drug companies, they're all doing fine. When I'm in Congress, I'm going to help make sure that we're funding our nurses, our support professionals, those who are involving using direct care to care. I know that's what we need to do to fix our broken I'm very committed to doing that work. I have the experience, I have the knowledge, and I'm willing to work together. We're looking at workers and labor, and that's what the 8th District needs, that's what the district needs, and that's what it comes from. So I want to thank the nurses for being out here today. Thank you everyone who's supporting our nurses as they strike. I hope they get back to the table as soon as possible, because that's what everybody wants.
Any questions?
Yeah. Amanda Eke with WBIO. Thanks so much for having us. So, my first question would be a request from you all. Could you just give your name, give your title, and spell it for me, please?
Sure. My name is Larissa Hubbard. First name is Larissa. I'm assessing last name
Oh, everybody that talks, please give your name and title. All right. Well,
I'll get yours, Valerie.
no problem.
You needed ours too.
Sure.
State Senator Jen McEwen, J-E-N, and McEwen is MC capital E-W-E. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I'm State Representative Jen Schultz, S-H.
All right, my first question, thank you all so much. My first question is, throughout history, all types of labor unions had disputes through history, and they used mediators. Are you all on the talks to have a mediator come through to be able to to kind of mediate with you, the nurses, as well as Central or St. Luke's?
The thing with the mediators, sorry. The thing with the mediators is when a mediator comes in, their goal is just to strike a deal and it's not what's best for anybody in that regards. They just want a deal. Deals to be done. The other thing too is that they don't have to sit at the table with us anymore. The employers sit in one room, the staff sit in the nurses sit in another room, and the mediator goes back and forth. There's no conversation anymore in that place. So we don't get to explain our reasons why we think this is good. They just want to know what we're going to do.
So to be clear, has a mediator been brought, and are you all open to talking to a mediator?
We have not had a mediator there yet. We have been able to have good conversations. We were making good progress up until the employers walked away from the tables on Saturday.
So to continue off of that, negotiations are open until a contract is reached.
Correct.
Are there any updates on any type of negotiation talk?
No, there are no further dates set. We were willing to stay all night long, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights, and they did not. So, 11:15 on Saturday night.
Who is they that walked away?
Management and students.
Other questions?
Yeah. Question for anyone who's part of the negotiations team, whoever wants to take it. Have you guys heard anything at all from hospital staff since the strike began? Anyone can take that. Anything at all from hospital staff since the strike began?
Well, if it says anything, a lot of our staff have inside after their shift that are, the nurses are the staff that's not, the staff that is not part of the MFP, they're coming out more with us after their shifts and supporting us because everybody in that building knows how safe it is and knows how much work it is to be done against things. So.
One thing I want to touch on following that is currently they're staffing the hospitals with travel nurses, people who are not used to working in these environments. Is that been, do you think that level of care has diminished since these nurses have been out of the streets?
I think so. I mean, we're the ones that we help doctors want. A lot of our patients have been here. I've seen a lot of patients where they've been here for a long time. We have community members that come here. Every single one of our family members, every single one of our family members has been patients in the hospitals. I mean, we all hear about these people that come through here. They're not just patients, they're our neighbors, they are people that we've grown up with and we've known our lives.
The statements that we've gotten from St. Luke's have seemed a lot more targeted, a lot more pointed at painting the nurses in a certain light than the ones that we've gotten from Essentia, who seem more cordial in their statements. Would you say that's reflective of the negotiations that are happening at the table?
They take it very personally that we're speaking out against the conditions. Yeah.
I think it could be about retaliation. Maybe the nurses here feel more comfortable speaking out than the nurses at Essentia. They're worried about retaliation.
Is it difficult to deal with that, being villainized when, you mentioned it yourself, you guys want to be in there caring for these patients? Is that a difficult thing to be dealing with?
It is, because it is completely an antithesis of what we do. Like, we care. I mean, this is our entire lives. We give up birthdays, we give up holidays, we give up weekends and nights. We are here, like I said, I've worked 112 hours a week before. That's 7 16-hour shifts in a row. I mean, I don't do that. That's what we're here for.
So we are at coming towards the end of day 2, as the day is almost over. What has changed from day 1 to day 2 with negotiations and the nurses' strike?
Nothing. There's more and more people out here. We have all of our nurses. We've had so many retired nurses who have come out here because this is a problem that's been building up for years. We have so much community support. You can hear all the cars honking as we drive by. People are dropping off water and snacks all day long. All 13 hours of work.
So tomorrow is day 3, the final day according to the MNA's press release, the 14th. in your dream scenario, what do you really want to see happen at the end of the day tomorrow? What would you like to see happen?
Negotiation. I want to go to negotiation dates so that we can get this company set. One of the girls on our team gave birth in July and she was about to do negotiations for 2 weeks. She gave up her maternity leave to do negotiations. That's because we care. Because we want to have this done. We want to fix this happening problem.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah, right on the other side of you.
I am personally doing this for the betterment of the hospital and the betterment of my employees. I'm more proud of this than the rest of them. I'm not doing this for any person. I am doing it to make a connection between that hospital and the community of the and so far,
One thing I just want to double check on is something you mentioned is maternity. So I just want to make sure I have that all right. As it stands, there's no set aside leave. I want to understand what the rules are right now.
I'm a maternal child health nurse, so that means I work labor and delivery. I care for women in their infants postpartum. I work in the special care ward nursery, and I work in pediatrics. We do not have any paid maternity leave whatsoever. Not only that, one of the things that we're trying to negotiate at the table is to add pregnancy loss to our bereavement leave policy. Under current St. Luke's policy, if you lose a pregnancy, that is not included in the bereavement leave. Nurses are being disciplined, very disciplined for using our earned sick time. Anything has been trying to haggle with us over saying, well, we'll count pregnancies over 28 weeks, maybe 20 weeks. When asked why, they said some of the nastiest, grossest things I've ever heard out of an executive mouth. They're talking about how, well, at forward gestation, people don't feel as bad. So nurses, if you work at St. Luke's and you see all the ads about how St. Luke's is here for you with pregnancy loss, you know, there's an asterisk there. And that is deeply distressing to my nurses that I work with on the maternal child health. Because we care for women during pregnancy loss. We're there at that worst moment when somebody's having a stillbirth or a miscarriage, and we're there at that joyous moment when we put a healthy life reborn into their arms. And our nurses deserve better. Our community deserves better. We're asking somebody to step up and take it.
To follow up on that, I think there's been a lot of focus recently, especially from the hospitals, about wages being a kind of sticking point. But in all these conversations, it doesn't seem like wages are as important as an issue as staffing is. Can you talk a little bit about that? And, you know, either one of you guys.
So wages are important too because you do have to remain competitive with all of the other hospitals around everywhere. You know, the cost of living this year is on 9%. They like to think that it's raises are tied to inflation. They're trying to we lose money every year. There was one contract we went for 0.01%. 1% raise over 3 years. They already don't fight increase that. So wages are going to keep people here. There will be some 401k that will keep people here. But also having respect from our employers. That's what's important.
You had mentioned previous that negotiation, having a mediator, that would be not, you wouldn't want that at this point. Is that correct?
Yes, point. We did not hear necessarily without wanting to. At this point, we got off the table, but
terms of the let's say in terms of the negotiations open until contract. In terms of the updates for you all, what is kind of the byline? What are you looking at now? Obviously, you all have stated you're going to go back to work on the 14th, irregardless. If negotiations are not settled for them, what happens on the 14th?
At this point, we don't know. We go back to work. Continue negotiations. Until at this point, I don't know where
We can't negotiate by ourselves. Our team, we can't negotiate by ourselves. Our team needs management to show up. They walk out of the room when we're ready to keep going. We can't do much about that. We need them to show up.
How do you go about building that?
So obviously it's challenging, but ultimately we're professionals, so we have to get back to work. We have patients to take care of and jobs to do. So we're working on trying to make things better, and that's where we stand. That's what we're here for.
And management's not there at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night when I'm taking care of patients. I'm there with my team. We've got phenomenal nurses, we've got phenomenal doctors and support staff. We don't see management on the floors on the weekends, on the holidays. Like I said, we'll negotiate, but they need to show up.